Hey, how you doing? It's David Duford here at Buy Life Insurance for Burial, where I help people like you find quality life insurance no matter what your age is. So today's video topic is a $100,000 life insurance review, where I talk about rates and carriers. So most likely you're here today because bottom line, you're interested in finding a quote for $100,000 in life insurance. And hopefully you also are concerned with not just getting the best price per se, but also getting the best quality, the best value. And so what I'm going to spend time doing on today's video is walking you through what your options are for $100,000 in life insurance, show you the pros of different kinds of insurance products as well as the cons, and then actually give you some rates that you can look at just to help you and guide you through the process of deciding what kind of insurance is best for you if you're looking for $100,000 in life insurance coverage. So let's get started. So we'll start today with an overview of myself and my company to better familiarize yourself. I'm going to give you a quick 2-minute overview of what your life insurance options are if you're looking for $100,000 in coverage, and then give you really an idea of what a $100,000 life insurance policy will do for you if you decide to purchase it. We'll talk about whether or not you need to sit for an exam, not the classroom type, but where they draw blood out of you, or if you can just pass it up without too much consequence. Then we'll answer the question, can you qualify for a $100,000 policy? We'll also talk about simplified and non-med $100,000 life insurance policies as well as fully underwritten. And then we'll talk about the best rates in insurance companies if you're looking for $100,000 in policies, life insurance policies. So we'll look at some different ages to give you an idea of what's available. And then if you find that the price is just too high, based on what I show you, I'm going to suggest some ideas or alternates that you could start with, and then talk about the next steps to get started. My name is David Duford again. I'm the owner and founder of BuyLifeInsuranceForBurial.com. I specialize in helping people buy burial insurance, but also buy life insurance, no matter what their age is. If they're just looking for some kind of quality life insurance and they need assistance from a professional, that's what I do. I have been licensed as an insurance agent since 2011. I've helped in my time over 3,000 families with their life insurance needs. I'm also a published author of several books, one of which is what you see on the screen. It's the official guide to buying final expense life insurance. I also recruit and train agents nationally across the country to basically do what I'm doing on video with you now, which is essentially educate their community and what their life insurance options are so that they can help them with it. And then last but not least, I'm actually sitting around with my phone in front of me, anticipating my wife to call, potentially telling me it may be time to be going into labor and having our delivery of our 4th child. So wish us luck. Hopefully everything will go well after the filming of this video. So let's start off first by giving you a quick explanation of what life insurance is and what a policy will do for you. So essentially, no matter what kind of life insurance you get, the idea behind it is that a life insurance functions as a payment of cash to a beneficiary of your choice when you pass away. Most of the time it's to a loved one such as a spouse or a child. It can also be to a business. It could be to a church. It could be to a charity. It could be really pretty much anybody or anything that you want to gift money to if you pass away. Now the thing is that not all life insurance coverage is the same. Perhaps you've seen life insurance, you understand the basics of it, but there are different kinds and forms of life insurance that perform in different ways, that have different kinds of restrictions or lack of restrictions. And it's really just important to differentiate between those options again, so you can better decide which option best fits your goals. So some only pay if you die within a certain period of time. That's what's called term insurance. And some pay always regardless of when you pass away. That's what's called permanent. Then again, there's pros and cons to each. Usually it comes down to pricing, length of coverage, and goals. We'll cover that more later, but just wanted to give you an idea of what to expect. So what does a $100,000 plan exactly do? So there's many reasons why people will purchase $100,000 in life insurance. One reason is to cover funeral expenses. Maybe somebody's worried about paying for a burial or perhaps a cremation or any kind of final expenses. $100,000 in coverage will do a great job in covering for those types of expenses. $100,000 in coverage is a great place to start for an income replacement plan. The reason you would buy something like this is if you passed away, whether yourself or a loved one, upon their death, $100,000 would be given to the surviving spouse. This would help offset the costs of losing their income for a period of time, either short or long, depending on what your financial circumstances are. But it allows for breathing room. It allows to get back on the spouse and family, get back on their feet and get back to living life without the immediate threat of losing your income. It's also a gift of love. You can give $100,000 in life insurance money, like I said, to charity. Perhaps you gift it to your church upon your passing, or you just give it to your favorite kid or grandkid, and you want them to just have a legacy to begin life on the right foot. You can also use $100,000 in coverage to pay down a mortgage. If you die, then you can pay off the mortgage with the $100,000 if that's what you owe, more or less. Or you can use it as a payment protection plan. If you pay $500 a month for a mortgage, $100,000 on a monthly basis will last a long time paying that mortgage off, so your family doesn't have to vacate the premises immediately upon your passing. Or you can just use it in other kind of circumstances where you pay down loans that you owe that you don't want to leave behind to a loved one to be responsible for. So look, bottom line, people buy life insurance because they love someone, something, or something. So, look, I have life insurance on myself. I'm covered because I love my family, I love my wife, and I know that life is fragile. If I die, they're on their own. In my family, my wife is a homemaker. She stays home with the children and raises them. I work all the time. And if I disappear, poof, I'm gone. So is my income that I make. So I want to make sure she's well situated, God forbid, if I died earlier than I ever expected. So I love them. That's why I buy it, and that's why you should too. So maybe this is your first foray into buying some kind of life insurance, and you may be worried, do I have to get stuck with a needle? Will I have to draw blood? Do I have to go down to an examination office? Blah, blah, blah. So the good news is that in some circumstances, an exam is not required. Sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not. But an exam, if it is, would require urinalysis, a blood exam or withdrawal, or a physical. But the thing is, in my experience, with $100,000, it is not a lot of coverage relative to what you can purchase in the millions of dollars. So the smaller amounts, again, relatively speaking, will usually not require an exam. They'll just require a signature, maybe a phone interview. Maybe they'll just pull medical records. It's a very simple process, and you'll find in many circumstances you just don't have to do all the extra stuff of an examination. However, if you do have an option to take an exam and you're in good shape, that's a good idea, because exams give the most up-to-date health information to the insurer, and they can be more confident in giving you better rates. So that's a great reason to take it if you don't mind the exam, and it will take a little bit longer to issue the policy to collect all this information back. But ultimately what happens is, if you're healthy enough, you really get a good rate because of it. The reason not to take an exam is just because you just don't like it, or if the amount of coverage you're looking for at your age. Again, pricing and availability of exams or not is going to be dependent upon your age to some extent. So it may not make any sense to get an exam because the price differential is so marginal. So can you qualify for $100,000 in coverage? And again, I know there's all sorts of people at different ages watching this, and the short answer is in most cases, yes. And what we're going to talk about now are the two types of life insurance programs there are. The first kind is what's called temporary coverage. The second kind is permanent coverage. And really, to give you a very basic understanding of how this works, temporary coverage is term life and coverage. The big pros with term insurance include it's the lowest premium dollar per month per the amount of coverage that you get. So in layman's terms, the idea behind it is if you want a lot of coverage but don't want to pay a lot relative to other insurance, term insurance is a good idea. The drawbacks is it's temporary insurance. My term insurance plan that I have lasts 30 years. I'm like 2 years into it. So when I turn 61, it's gone. I've lost it. All that money I paid into it is gone. It's like car insurance. If you never have a wreck, you never get any benefit out of it. So term insurance is like that too. The reason I own term insurance is because I have this as an income replacement plan for the time being. And so the idea behind it is if I die in the midst of building my financial plan and retirement plan, and I don't get to that point, this will supplement and replace it, whereas if I had all the time to do it. So it's a good idea for a temporary solution. I plan on, by the time I hit the 60, as I invest on a monthly basis, to have enough money for retirement. So this term insurance plan becomes obsolete. So that is a drawback though, because if you have a permanent problem, term insurance isn't necessarily the best option. So again, the reason you purchase this really is that you buy it for a temporary type of problem, like a mortgage. You know, your mortgage isn't going to last forever. Hopefully you can pay it down and be done with it. Or perhaps it's just for, an income replacement scenario where you just need it while you accumulate savings and you invest and create your own wealth and you just want that there just in case if you don't make it that long to see your retirement plan fully blossom. So permanent insurance is what we call whole life, or GUL stands for Guaranteed Universal Life Plan. So the pros with these kinds of plans is that it does not cancel due to age or health. As long as you pay the premium required, then the policy will never go away because of age or health. The drawback, as you're going to see when I show you some price differentials, it's a higher premium dollar per amount of coverage you get. So it can be 5 to 10 times as much as term insurance. You'll see term is pretty cheap, but then when you start looking at permanent coverage, it's pretty expensive relative to term. So that doesn't mean it's worse. It just means that you're going to have to pay more for the guarantee that you're getting. It's just like buying a car with the top dollar warranty on bumper to bumper, everything's protected. It's going to cost you more. And with this, you're getting an upgraded package. It's permanent protection. So the company will have to pay if you die while the policy is still in force. There's term insurance. Very few of these actually pay out because people outlive them, and there's less payouts from them. So people buy permanent coverage because of permanent problems. Death is a good reason. Income replacement, especially as a senior or somebody older, is a good reason. Buy a permanent plan to have when you know you need some kind of money when you die. So there's different kinds of life insurance within each, whether it's term or permanent coverage. And what we're going to talk about was what's called simplified issue and non-med first, then we'll get to fully underwritten. So simplified issue and non-med issue life insurance refers to basically not having an examination required. They simply take medical records, prescription health history records, records from your doctors to determine whether or not you're going to be insured. The biggest pros of these plans, it's a great option for those with health history issues. Usually these are a little less restrictive in getting coverage. They're a little more understanding in getting coverage with people maybe have some health issues. A perfect example, I had an 85-year-old man insured who had a mini stroke many years prior to that and took some kind of blood thinner. I have all sorts of people that have had cancer history, heart history, diabetes, that may not have been able to get traditional insurance, but could qualify with these so-called simplified issue and non-med products. So if you're listening to this thinking, oh gosh, my health is bad, will I even be able to qualify? I can't say for sure, but we do have options if that's the case, so at least give it a shot, and you're better off with better options than if you didn't have them anyway, right? Also with simplified issue, it's fast issue. Sometimes you can get it issued, the policy issued, meaning it's enforced and approved within days to weeks. Drawbacks is if you're super healthy, if you opt for this option, you may pay more than you have to because the company doesn't have up-to-date information through what they get through in exams. So they have to kind of factor that into the pricing. So let's talk about fully underwritten $100,000 life insurance plan. So this just means you have to do the exam. Again, blood, urinalysis, physical. Some of those may be required. All of them may be. It just depends. This is a good option if you're very healthy. When I got my term insurance plan, I opted for the full examination. Why? Because I don't take medications. I have a good health history. I don't have any health issues, have never really had anything serious. So I didn't want to get simplified issue or non-med policy because I would pay more. Why do that when going into an office for 30 minutes or having them come to me for 30 minutes to do the physical, to do the exam, can save me literally hundreds if not thousands of dollars over the policy's life. Again, that's my case study there. But that's something I would only recommend if you're in really good shape health-wise. It takes longer to issue the policy. I believe my policy took about a month to 2 months to get issued, but that's because they're pulling all sorts of information. It could take less than that, but be prepared to wait a little bit longer. The one thing this may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing. Exams may reveal unknown health issues, which will affect your insurability. So you may be expecting to get a good rate and you find out you've got some issue. And these companies will tell you if you request it, they'll tell you in writing what they're concerned with. So, and these are things that may not necessarily have been there if you took a simplified issue or non-med route to get coverage. And there are rate ups because of that. You may get quoted at a great price, but because maybe a height-weight problem or an uncovered health issue, the rates go up through the roof, if not denied completely. So yeah, the reality here is that at $100,000 in coverage, for most of you watching, will not have to take an exam. Why? Because simply they're not available, or if you look at the competition, taking an exam versus not, there's not much of a price difference. This is just not a lot of coverage to warrant an exam these days. insurance companies have began to move in the direction of offering policy coverage without exams for more competitive rates because they just want to be competitive. Most people prefer not to take an exam if the price differential is very marginal. And at $100,000 it is. So bottom line, don't expect to take an exam. If you do, here's what you're looking at. But most likely because of your age, you won't have to worry about it. So let's just go ahead and jump in and look at some life insurance rates. So we're just going to look at 4 different rates. I'm going to quickly run you through a quote screen to show you $100,000. We're going to look at a term life insurance plan, and then we're going to look at a permanent plan. And we're just going to show you the difference, show you how they work, give you a basic understanding of how they work for males and females, non-smoker. We're going to first start with term and then whole at 40 and then move up to 50, term and then permanent, I should say, and then move all the way up till we reach 70. Can you get it if you're younger than 40? Absolutely. Older than 70? Absolutely. There's options for most ages available across a wide a range of ages. And again, don't take this as your particular personal quote. This is only educational. I have no reason or no capability to tell you exactly what you qualify for until you and I talk, so I can run a quote based on your unique health information. So this is just for the sake of education to show you some example prices for somebody who is in exceptional health. Your situation would be totally unique. So let me take you off the screen to my quoter and let's get started. So here's a look at a 10-year term for $100,000 in coverage for a male at 40 years old. Here's a look at a guaranteed universal life insurance plan, what we call permanent protection, that does not cancel due to age or health for $100,000 in coverage for a 40-year-old male. 10-year term for a $100,000 female at 40. Guaranteed universal life plans for $100,000 in coverage for a 40-year-old female. 10-year term for a 50-year-old male, non-smoker. Permanent guaranteed universal life coverage for a 50-year-old male, $100,000 in coverage. 50-year-old non-smoking female, $100,000 10-year term coverage. Non-smoking female, 50-year-old, $100,000 guaranteed universal life coverage. Here's a 60-year-old non-smoking male, $100,000 10-year term plan. And here's a 60-year-old non-smoking male, $100,000 guaranteed universal life insurance plan. Here's some options for a 60-year-old female non-smoker, $100,000 10-year term insurance plan. And here's a look at a guaranteed universal life plan for $100,000 for a 60-year-old non-smoking female. Here's a 10-year term option for a 70-year-old non-smoking male for $100,000 in coverage. Here's a guaranteed universal life $100,000 plan for a 70-year-old non-smoking male. Here is a 70-year-old non-smoking female $100,000 10-year term insurance plan availability. And for a 70-year-old non-smoking female, $100,000 guaranteed no-lapse universal life. So there you have it. That's a big collection of different pricings at different amounts. Now, this is just a cursory look, guys. I just want to keep completely clear. There's a bunch of other options, but for just the sake of everybody's time, I didn't go into excruciating detail. I just wanted to sample some rates for permanent and term protection. You know, you get maybe 10 years not what you want, maybe you want 20 or 30 years, maybe you smoke, and maybe your health doesn't qualify. I don't know all this information, of course, but this is just to give you an idea of where to start. So look, if you're running through this and you're seeing $100,000 and if it's term or permanent, maybe the thought that crossed your mind is you think maybe it's a little too expensive. Well, here are some alternative ideas that I'd like to share with you that will still get you $100,000 or at least some kind of coverage in place, but maybe at a better price. So I have an old saying that we like to use in the insurance business, and that's, how do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time. What that means in terms of you buying insurance is maybe you can't start off with $100,000 like you'd like, but you want to start with something because, geez, something's better than nothing, right? Your family would be much better off with half of what they need versus none of what they need. So one option to look at is what's called a term life with permanent conversion option. So a lot of the term life insurance products I showed you have an option to convert to a permanent life insurance product that won't cancel because of age or health as long as you continue to pay the premium at a later date. So maybe you're looking at $100,000, it's outside of your budget, but perhaps you could get that term insurance plan to start with. knowing that you've got the option to turn it into whole life or a permanent product at a future date, so at least you'll have something down the line. The biggest advantage with these kinds of plans is that the conversion option is guaranteed, meaning they're not going to ask your health questions in the vast majority of circumstances to convert it, versus buying term that doesn't have it and then dropping it once you reach the point where you want permanent protection, but now you got to go through health qualification again. Generally speaking, we're in better health younger than we are older, so this is a great compromise to get some kind of coverage on the books. You can always start with a smaller amount of coverage to begin with, whether it's 10, 25, 50, 75,000, something is better than nothing. You can always piecemeal your coverage together. I routinely talk people into starting with 50 instead of 100,000. That's fine. If that's better for their budget and they're totally confident in paying it, I want them to buy that coverage and stick with it. Maybe in a year or two, after they pay off the mortgage or the car payment or run into more money, we add more at that point. Because the bottom line here is something is better than nothing. That is the primary concern I have. So here's how you qualify for a $100,000 life insurance program. Application process is simple. Find an agent first you like to work with. Of course, I'll nominate myself. I think I am the best choice. I say so myself, and a little tongue-in-cheek there, of course. So bottom line here, second thing is you want to get an agent that listens to you closely, asks you good questions, and then allow him to draw up a life insurance quote based on what you're looking for and your goals. If you like what you see, the next step is to apply. Usually you can do it electronically via email or over the phone. An agent visit is rare, if ever necessary these days. And then after several days or weeks, your coverage, assuming that it goes through and it will be approved, it is approved, you'll be notified. I can't tell you if it's going to be approved or not, so just make sure that's clear. And then several weeks later after that, you'll receive a policy in the mail, letting you know you've got your policy approved and it is enforced, and that's it. So if you like the idea of applying for some kind of life insurance, two ways to do it with me. Go to buylifeinsuranceforburial.com. You can get a free quote there. I would suggest that you send me a message either by clicking the contact box or the box below and just letting me know what you're looking for. Otherwise, you can call me at 888-626-0439. Leave me a voicemail. If you can't get me live, sometimes I'm busy talking to people. It takes me about a day to get back to people sometimes, so just be patient with me. If you like the video, please comment and thumbs it up if you haven't already, and do subscribe to my channel. I do lots of good content like this. My name is David Duford at Buy Life Insurance for Burial. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.